Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to us using Python in GIS. Last time we created a script that takes a tar file, and it's hard-coded in this script, takes a tar file and then creates a directory tree to store our Landsat scene. Okay, creates these 4 subdirectories under a directory based on the date. Okay, then it unpacks this tar file into the root directory that we've created. All right, now remember, this script right here actually is supposed to run prior to the script that we talked about first. Okay, I know I did this kind of backwards, but train of thought, you come up with new things and you want to say, hey computer, do all this boring stuff. I don't want to do it. I want the computer to do it. So the script before this worked with that text file and then created the database file for further processing later on. Okay, so what I've done in the past day or so is I have combined these 2 scripts. All right, I've combined this script that does all the text file stuff with the directory tree stuff and the extraction. All right, and I've created a new script that has both processes in them. The difference is that I change the order in which they happen. The first part of the script creates all the directories and unpacks that tar file. The second part of the script does all of the text file work and database work. All right, so I've taken this script and put it on top of the other script. The other changes that I made to the file, or additions I made to the file, is I imported the time module of Python. This allows me to collect time data and use it to find out how fast my script is running and what time this particular part of the program started and all this kind of stuff. And I created 2 variables, one called main time and one called start time. Main time is a variable that's time stamped at the beginning of running the program. At the end of running the program, there is a timestamp minus main time, okay? And that gives me how many seconds the entire program ran. The start time variable is like the main time, except I have this interwoven in a couple places throughout the script to time a certain portion of the script. So for example, all of that directory creating and the extraction, we start the time here and then we calculate the ending time and the number of seconds it took to run that part right here at the bottom of that section. Okay, understand? All right. The next part, the other additions that I made, was I put in a lot more print statements, because I don't like programs that run and don't tell me what's going on. I just have to be confident that it's where it's supposed to be, doing what it's supposed to be. I like my programs to tell me something. Tell me every step that you're doing. All right, so I placed in print statements like create folder, I'm extracting the data, etc. throughout my program. All right, just to keep me informed of what's going on. All right, so those are the only changes that I made to the file, and I ran it and it does everything perfectly. Now, I don't want to have to run this program outside of my GIS software, in this particular case ArcGIS. I want this program to run inside of my GIS software. So there's a few little changes that you need to make. All right, so I created a new Py file and I copied all of this into that file. And that file is called parser inside of Arc. All right? It's the exact same program with a few minor changes. The biggest change that I made was I took the hard-coded image file variable, I moved that up to the top, and I put the arcpy.GetParametersAsText method in place of the hard-coded path. All right? What this allows you to do is inside of ArcGIS in this case, this method allows you to have the user select a file, and that file name and path gets written to the variable name. Okay? Now, GetParametersAsText creates a list. Okay? Because you can have more than one get parameters for different data that you want your user to enter at the beginning of the script. And in this case, each input is indexed in the list. Remember last time we talked about lists, and the first occurrence of something in a list is index 0. The second would be 1, third, 2, and on down the line, depending on how many parameters you have. Well, here I only have 1, but I still have to specify index 0. Okay? So we moved image file variable to the top and replaced the hard-coded path with a GetParametersAsText variable. The other change that I made to the file was anywhere there was a print statement, I had to change that to arcpy.AddMessage. ArcGIS does not read the Python print statement. It does not echo it out. It has to have its own messaging system, and that is the method AddMessage. So it's just a simple replace of the print with AddMessage, and then everything after that is exactly as a print statement. With me? Okay, let's move on. So those are the only changes I had to make to my file, with one big exception. And that is where I am extracting information from the string of image file. I had to change the index position of where that information is in the string. The string is longer now. And the reason the string is longer is that the GetParametersAsText also has the path in it. All right? And I'll explain that here in a second. So froot is now indexed 23 to 63. Whereas in our previous program, our hard-coded path, it was 0 to 40. Okay? Because the new information moves the where the indexing of those characters are. All right? So that was really the biggest change that I actually had to figure out what was going on. Okay? So this is resolved. Now, we want to run this program, but we don't want to run it in Python because most of the time I'm in my GIS software. I want to run that program when I'm in my GIS software. I don't want to have to open up an interpreter and run it there. So how do you get this script into ArcGIS in this particular example? Well, it is very easy. So let's go over here. Let's go over here to ArcGIS. I have a blank project and I have my database. All I did was put my database in there. We'll right-click our database to show you that it is blank. It has not been processed yet. All right, to add a Python script into ArcGIS is really easy. You go over to your catalog. Now, I'm not going to create it. I've already created ahead of time so you don't have to see me type things and make mistakes in my typing. So you go over to wherever you have your toolboxes. In this case, I have them in GIS models and my toolboxes. And in my toolboxes, I have a series of tools that I've created. I have just created this, and how you create one is you right-click on Toolbox, New, Toolbox, okay? And that creates a toolbox that you can rename, and in this case, I called it Landsat Processing. Then you right-click on that actual toolbox, and you add a script. Click, okay? Then you get this new, you'll get a dialog box that kind of looks like this, all right? And you'll type in the name of the tool, and in this case, Process Landsat, no space. And then the label, I say Process Landsat Scene. That's what's going to show up on the dialog box. And then a description of what that script does. This program creates a scene folder structure, extracts data, blah, 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 cleans up, and creates a INSAT process DBF. Then you hit next, and you get the source, and you go and you migrate, find where your script is, the PI file, in this case, parser inside Arc, and then you hit next, and you'll get the parameters screen. And this is where you interact with that GetParametersAsText variable or method, okay? Here, you give it a name, display name, select the tar file, because that's what I want that dialog box to say, and then you are selecting a file, okay? There's all different kind of options that you select depending on what you're doing with that dialog box. In this case, we are selecting a file. So I select File, click OK, all right? But I don't need to do that because I've already done it, all right? So you do that, and then you hit OK, and that creates this tool in your Landsat processing toolbox. Now, most likely, all these other tools that these other toolboxes that I created a long time ago, is I will copy those into my Landsat processing toolbox. So they're all together. So I know that anything that's in this toolbox deals with Landsat imaging, and I can create one for Sentinel images and so forth. All right. Now that you have the tool all set up, in order to run that tool is pretty simple. Okay. But first I'm going to show you that my environment is set up to run the program. So we saw that the DBF is empty. And now we look at the directory tree, and I do not have a directory for a Landsat scene, which is good. I don't want one there right now because I want you to see that it has actually done what it said it's going to do. Okay, so I have an empty directory other than some support files. Okay, this file actually gets created again, this strip file. All right, so we'll minimize that. To run your tool, to run that Python script, all you need to do is go over to your toolbox, right-click the tool, and open. Then you'll get your dialog box that you created. Again, it says select the tar file. So you go to the open tool, migrate where you have your file that you're going to be processing in this case. And mine is in GIS data, and I have a Landsat zips file where when I download something from the USGS, I put that zip file in this directory. Okay, so double click that, and then there's the downloaded file, and that is a tar file. Now, if this was a zip file, I would import the zip file module and use the zip file method to process it. But this is a tar file. I select that file, click open. It puts it in my dialog box, I hope. Yeah, here it comes. Come on. Here we go. My computer's running a whole bunch of things right now. All right, so anyway, it puts the tar file in the dialog box, and then I press OK. Now, this process takes about 80 seconds to run from start to end. So bear with me here. So we'll click OK, And then we get this dialog that shows up. It's running the program right now. And because I put that add message method in my program, it's going to report everything that it's doing to me. Doing to me. Sometimes it is doing it to you and not for you. Okay? So, first of all, it is created this Landsat or LS and then this date directory. And it's created the directory tree. And since I'm timing it, the new folder has been created, which was an add message statement. But the timestamp says that this section, just creating this folder structure, took 0.042 seconds. All right. Now it's doing one of the longest parts of the program, and that is extracting that tar file, which is a whole bunch of TIFF files that are the Landsat images. And it's writing those results to my Landsat directory. All right. Now it's finished. The entire script is now finished, and it has been echoing back everything that it did, but it did them so fast that I didn't get to see them all scroll through. So it took 68 seconds for it to extract that Landsat data. Okay. Then it went in to started cleaning the metadata, and as it processed each line in that text file, it wrote a record to my DBF file, and I had it report the record for band 1, blah, 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 was written to the DBF. So it did that for each line that was in that text file. Okay, and then down at the bottom, it only took 4.9 seconds to create the DBF file, because I timed it. And then I get an echo, everything is done, and the entire script took 73 seconds to run. All right. So I close that. Everything's done. Now we just need to verify that it did exactly what it said it was going to do. So let's check our DBF file. Let's open that up. And now it's populated with the information from our text file. Okay, which is cool. That's what we wanted it to do. Now we also want to check our directory structure that makes sure that all of our images were indeed extracted. So you notice now that we have the directory ls and then the data of the scene, and inside of that we have our 4 empty directories that we'll use later, and we have a TIFF file for every band in our scene, plus we have that meta file that it went in and cleaned out and created the DBF. All right. So you just saw how we took the 2 scripts, combined them, made a few changes to them, and then converted that script in ArcGIS as a tool. So now, anytime that I want to run this program, I can be in Arc and then right-click this and run that program. Now, here's the cool thing. Since it's a tool, it's running it in the background. So I can right-click, open, run this program, and then have this other project open that I'm working on, doing some analysis and map work and stuff like that. And this is all running in the background. So I'm doing 2 things at once. I'm working on a current project that I might be working on, and I'm processing a Landsat image. And then it will tell me when it's done. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video. Our next video will probably be a few days before I get that out, because it's a complicated process that I'm doing, and I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to restructure the DBF into a different format, because I discovered some nuances in Python that I need to be aware of. So I'll probably change the DBF's look and feel a little bit to make it more user-friendly. So as soon as I get that worked out, I will start the next video. But I appreciate you guys coming and visit me today and sticking around for almost 20 minutes. And please subscribe and share this video and hit the bell for notifications. And thanks for coming. Have a great day, and we'll see you later.